On this episode, we're going to dive in pretty deep with a very close friend that I have watched him grow and literally explode his business and growth over the last few years. And we're going to dive into a little bit about what is it that he's done in order to really make this impact and this growth in his business. And he's ready to share this with all of you listening. So stay tuned. You don't want to miss these game-changing insights.
Running a home service business is hard. So how is it that some people make it look so easy? Well, we'll tell you. This is the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. It's always good to hear the wins that successful contractors have. But have you ever thought that the best advice would be to hear about the speed bumps they encountered, the mistakes they've made along the way? We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We want you to be successful and avoid the mistakes others have made. Let's get this party started. Welcome to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Now your host, Justin Deese.
Thank you for coming and hanging out on Freedom Blueprint Podcast. And today we're hanging out with Levi Torres from High Five Plumbing but we'll get to that in a minute. Levi and I have been friends for a lot of years. And we were just talking before we hit record. I can't believe it's taken this long to get him on the show, but here we are. We're doing this thing, and I'm excited for you to come hang out. So thank you, man.
Yeah, Justin, man, like you were saying, it's about time we connected and got together to talk on this. We've talked about a lot of conversations, a lot of different things, and so it just only seemed right for us to get on a podcast and do it together, right?
Well, there's always such good. I feel like there's a lot of times that you and I'll have conversations, and we're either in the truck or driving somewhere or whatever, and we get towards the end of the conversation, we go, man, that should have been recorded. Like that was really good information. So here we are. Now we're getting to record it.
Right.
So let's do this. For anybody who doesn't know you, tell us a little bit about how you even got started in the trades.
Yeah, definitely. So like a lot of people, right, the typical story, my dad was a plumber. So when I was 16, I got an apprenticeship card as a birthday present. I was ready to be a plumber. That's what I was going to be, right? And so worked with my dad for a lot of years, graduated high school and didn't want to go the plumbing route. So I went to college, went to a semester of college, and got the bill from that semester. And I kind of looked at that bill and said, wait a minute. I called some local plumbing companies and said, what are you paying your guys right now? And they're like, hey, at the time it was like $21 an hour or something. And I'm like, sweet, quit school the next day. Went back to plumbing. And so I worked with my dad in his local family-owned plumbing company in Southern Colorado until I was about 24, 25 years old. And, it was just a small town plumbing, right? So we did everything and anything, right, that we could do plumbing to stay busy. And so really, that's how I really learned, right? I learned from my dad. I spent most of my time with my dad. But, being in a small town, I naturally kind of outgrew my environment, right? I wanted a little bit more. I wanted to expand. I wanted to experience some new things. So moved out of my small hometown and moved up to Denver. And that's the first time I was really ever introduced to like service plumbing, customer service base, where you can actually get paid on performance. So that was a really good introduction. And so I worked up here in Denver for one of the biggest companies in the state for about 2.5 years, and was one of their top producing plumbers. And once again, kind of the same thing. I wanted to grow a little bit more, and they weren't quite getting me what I felt I could get, and so quit there and started High Five Plumbing. And so really my whole life, I've really only spent about 4 weeks employed outside of the plumbing industry in my life.
Very cool. So when did you guys start? When did you and Cassie start High Five Plumbing?
Yeah, so it was in 2012. Like I said, it was in March of 2012, and I was kind of like, dang, I don't know if this is going to work out, right? And we just decided, right, that this wasn't for me. I quit my job. We started a business the next day, and coming up with the name, right, we kind of just like it sounds, High Five, right? We were talking about names, and we high-fived because of a cool name we thought of, and we were like, oh man, High Five Plumbing, that's going to work out pretty well. So we just ran with it from there, right? but we did what I was comfortable with. And I was most comfortable at the time doing construction, right? That's what I did mostly with my dad and most of my career. I'd only had a couple of years of actual customer service based knowledge. And so I went back to what I was comfortable with, and that was remodels, new construction. And we did that till about the beginning of 2016. So first 4 years in business, we did nothing but new construction and remodel.
So that's interesting that you came up with such a cool name and you were such an out of the box thinker, and then you went right back in the box and you're like, oh, new construction. Which, I mean, whatever. Like sometimes you do things outside of your comfort zone. Sometimes you do things in your comfort zone. But I will say this: one of the things that's so impressive that you guys have done is you guys have taken a simple concept of a high five and you've made it an entire brand. And I think that's so cool that you guys really focused the brand and the high five. And if no one's ever checked it out, go search them on social media. Go check them out, their website. I mean, there's all kind. I mean, you can buy their merch from their website. I've got quite a few. I got hats and shirts, and it's great. It's really cool, and it's something so much out of it's really out of the box for the space that we're in. So you guys went 2012 getting started, got back in new construction. 2016, you were like, all right, the service things, what's up? I need to be able to. I mean, I'm assuming you did it for a growth opportunity, COD payment, the good stuff.
Yeah, it was mostly because of payment. Right at the end of 2015, we had so much money in our accounts receivable that we couldn't even have our end of the year party because we just didn't have the money, right? And so it wasn't that we hadn't earned it yet. It's just we hadn't been given it. And so literally the beginning of 2016, January 2016, we fired like 35 of our 40 contractors we were working with. We kept the 5 that paid us on time, and we started buying box trucks, and we started building websites and started doing 100% service from there. So it was definitely quite a shift because I had all construction managers still, right? Most of the managers I had, most of the people I had were used to and comfortable with the construction industry. And so even from 2016 to the end of 2018, I really kept all the same management, right? I had all the same managers I had from when I was a construction remodel company. And so even from 2016 to 2018, we didn't experience like monumental growth, in those years, but it was a learning curve for sure.
Well, and I think sometimes people miss the point. I think probably more so people that aren't in the industry than are in the industry. But I think a lot of times people look at it and they're like, well, plumbing's plumbing. Well, no,
Yeah.
plumbing's not plumbing. And the person doing the plumbing is not the same plumber from the new construction to the commercial to the residential service. And I think that's something you guys identified pretty quickly and went, okay, so we got to make some shifts here in order to be able to, and that includes leadership as much as you don't ever want to change your leadership. We all want the same people on our team forever, ever, amen. But a lot of times the team that gets you at some point is not the same team that's going to get you to the next point. So now you guys have shifted into service. So that was 2016, and then 19, you guys started to see a little bit of shift. You guys have grown tremendously, and we'll get into that in a minute. But at what point throughout this journey do you feel like you guys really started to get ahead of steam where you were starting to grow? Like you were seeing that growth?
Yeah, I would say that was 2019. So in 2018, the middle of 2018 is when we did make a pretty massive management shift, right? I think we let go of 3 managers, all very involved in the day-to-day management. And we spent the last 3 months of 2018 kind of just relocking in what we thought High Five was going to become, right? What did we want High Five to be? And then, the beginning of 2019 is when we really started to feel that we started to become us, right? That's when we started to have a lot of clothing sales, right? High5Colorado.com is the clothing apparel site, right? That's when we rolled out the baseball jerseys. That's when our technicians started wearing baseball jerseys in homes, right? That's when we rolled out the baseball cards for business cards. One of the most popular things High Five has is the baseball cards as their business cards, right? And so that's when we really started to say, no, this is how High Five is going to be. This is how we're going to operate. And once we did that, man, it was like recruiting got easier, marketing got easier, and things started to work a little smoother because we started to build our identity at that point.
Well, and you think about it from if you're a technician and you're like, all right, well, I'm going to go work somewhere different. I can go work for Joe's Plumbing, or I can go to this really cool place, High Five Plumbing, where I get a baseball jersey and I get a sweet hat and I get a baseball
Mhm.
card, business card. Like, th- th- who's not going to make that decision? And quite frankly, what's genius about the whole thing is that the person that wouldn't want to come there and wear the jersey and do all the things, they're not even going to apply.
Mhm.
So you're getting rid of that stuff right at the beginning.
Yep.
That's so awesome. So all right, so we're going to fast forward a little bit because I said earlier, High Five Plumbing, and we'll get to the rest in a minute.
Right.
So let's talk about some growth. So you guys have had, I mean, really over probably the last 36 months, more specifically, probably the last 24 months, crazy explosive growth. And honestly, some of that is at a time where businesses are starting to stall a little bit. You guys are like a headwind, knocking it out, which is great. So tell us a little bit about adding some verticals to the business.
Yeah. So, we had always had a goal to get to a $10 million a year plumbing only company, right? That was kind of what we wanted to do. Um, we started 2019, and every year, High Five Plumbing as a company makes a vision board. You know how big we are on vision boards here at High Five. Every employee makes a vision board,
Mm-hmm.
but we also make one for the company. And on the company vision board, I put that I wanted to add HVAC and electrical, but that was in my 3-year section of our vision board, right? And so, but you know how it is. Usually, when you put stuff out to the universe, paths of how this can happen, how it could happen, present itself, right? So, we started off the beginning of 2019, or this year, 2024, just on fire, right? Our plumbers were killing it. We had our first $1 million month, right? As a company, as a plumbing only company. We were on pace to clearly break the $10 million goal we set as a plumbing company, and we had everything was going real smooth, right? Felt right, and we were given the an opportunity presented itself where we could get uh, one of the well-known HVAC managers in the area to come in and start our HVAC division. He was able to get a pretty solid following of technicians from around the city that would be willing to come and help us start the division. And so, I met with him for a couple months, and we decided on that April 1st was going to be the day that we rolled out our HVAC division, right? So we started rolling out our HVAC division, and it started. The first month was really just April 1st to the end of April was just the manager I hired and a helper, essentially another person to help build it. And they ran whatever calls organically came in, but we weren't really marketing yet because we wanted to just have all of our systems, all of our processes in place, which is another thing that you guys know that you guys have helped me kind of create over the years as well. As you got to have systems to make these things
Mm-hmm.
be able to work, right? And so we didn't want to just roll it out crazy because we are such a systematized company that we knew that if we didn't do it strategically, then the plumbers would have a certain standard and the HVAC would not have that same standard. So that first month, we just built all the standards and operations and how we expected the HVAC to operate. And then May 1st is when we had 4 people come in immediately. So we hired 4 technicians from day one in our HVAC division. We were already pre-calling all of our club members. So we were already booked out for weeks with inspections. And we just kind of hit the ground running with HVAC.
That's fantastic. Well, and so a couple things from what you said. I wrote some notes, and I figure it's worth sharing. So a couple keys, right? So you guys have had crazy, amazing growth in plumbing. Now putting on HVAC, you guys have experienced amazing growth in a very short period of time on that as well. Which part of that is going to be, the systems and the expectations that you have for your team and that your customer has for your team as well. But so some things I wrote down was mission, vision, goals, and memberships. Like how impactful, well, one, on the vision side, you go to launch this to your team, they're all behind it because they're like, yeah, it's on the board. It's not even an option. It's getting done.
Mhm.
That's pretty cool. And then the other thing is, from a membership standpoint, you were able to grow an entire division off the ground by leveraging your membership. Now, the reason that's important is in the HVAC, at the time of recording, most of the country is just starting to roll into that shoulder season, right? And for HVAC companies, they're like, well, not a lot of calls. And during the summer, they're like, well, I don't want to sell memberships because I'm busy and whatever nonsense they got going on. But you were able to grow a division because of your club memberships, and that is spectacular. Like, that is so cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool. And as we were hiring these HVAC people to come in, they were coming from other places around the city, right? They were excited to see that we were finally offering the opportunity for them to come and be a part of what we had created. And they were just so in awe at how our customers loved us, right? They were like, it just seems easy because they're happy that they're coming in and they're high-fiving us, and they're even shocked because the customers are high-fiving them now before they were even right, because that's the customer base we've built because the standards our plumbers set, right? So now it kind of raised the bar on our HVAC guys a little bit, right? They're walking into these customers' houses who absolutely love our guys. They can see through our history of our job that there's 10 different high five pictures with different technicians throughout the years. So it starts to kind of create a standard for these new technicians coming in.
I would say probably one of the most difficult things to do in our space is to create raving fans. It's just not easy, right? Because first of all, when a customer calls us, usually it's not like the highlight of their day. They're like, "Oh, great, I got to call my plumber." Um, but you guys have managed to create a culture, not just in house, like not just of your team, but a culture of raving fans. Like, that's so impressive that customers are like, I mean, I need a high five today.
It is cool. It's definitely a cool thing. Like I said, right when we chose the name High Five, we really didn't know how impactful it was going to be, right? Like we knew it was cool, it sounded cool, and it was fun, but we really didn't know how impactful it was going to be until we started to grow our team and see, man, we get thousands every year. We have thousands of high five pictures with customers, right? So talk about a brag book for your technicians, right? When they have 100 pictures of them high-fiving happy customers, it makes it pretty easy for a customer to say, well, dang, I guess if they all liked you and wanted to high-five you, I guess you're pretty good, right? And so the name has definitely made it to where customers, it makes it fun, it makes it lighthearted, but it does create a little bit of a standard, right? Because you don't get high fives if you do a bad job usually, right? And so we did realize that by having the name High Five, and that every call does end with a high five, you do create a standard that you have to maintain, that is kind of not expected if you had just a normal name, right?
So to that point, I feel like I want to clear the air on this, because I feel like if someone's listening and their name is Joe's Plumbing,
Yeah.
they're sitting back listening going, ah, man, I should have come up with a better name. And I want to say this. Yes, Levi and Katz, like, they made this really amazing package, and they have leaned into it and they've made it very impressive. But the high five is just part of it. If they were Joe's Plumbing, they would still lean into something, right? And maybe it's not a high five. Maybe it's, I don't even know, a dog, or a high five a dog, or I don't even know. I'm not a marketing. You're much smarter at marketing than I am. But you know what I mean? Like, don't let, if you're listening to this and you're hearing this story, don't get too hung up on, well, crap, I have to change my name in order to do that. That's not what it is. Like, do you agree with that statement?
Yeah, no, what I tell people, right? Because I hear that a lot. People are like, "Oh, I wish I would have came up with a cooler name." And it's not that. It's, you have to have belief that your name is going to stand for something, right? And whatever that stand is, and that goes back to vision and having a mission, right? So
Mm-hmm.
as long as you have a vision and a mission for whatever your name is, then make your name stand for something, right? And so it doesn't matter if it's cool or not, if you have cool colors or if your trucks are wrapped cool. You have to believe that your name's gonna stand for something, or it's gonna be hard to get any kind of movement anyways, right? That's the key. Is vision and mission is the key to building a brand. It doesn't matter the name, it's the vision you have, and the mission you set forth for your team is going to be what builds that brand.
That's such a great point, because people do sometimes spend a lot of money on wrapping their truck and really cool whatever, and then they get bad reviews, and
Yeah.
you're like, well, now you just spent the money, you're not getting the ROI on that deal.
Yeah, no, like I said, I'm not saying rebranding is never needed, but it's the fact that if you're trying to rebrand, then make sure that you're rebranding for the right reason and not because you think it's gonna magically change something. It's like
Right.
if you don't have a good vision and a good mission, then the brand's gonna struggle, right? It doesn't matter the name. High Five would have struggled if I didn't if me and Cassie didn't have the vision to build it bigger and to make it better for people, right? It would have stayed the same way. And so it really does come down to having a vision and then being able to make changes. Right, High Five has made a lot of big changes. Right, we've switched a lot of times. That's why we really count 2018 is when we finally have started to been operating since how we still operate. Right, so our first 6 years in business, we changed. We wanted to get it to where we felt it was only going to be better for people, and we finally feel where every month we feel we just get better, right? There's not a month where we don't feel like we don't go the right direction.
Yeah. So now you guys are in 2 locations, correct?
Yeah, so we have one main hub, right? So in Denver, we actually have 3 locations, right? We have an office in Denver, which is the main central part of the city. It's just a little tiny office. We have our warehouse where we house all of our materials, is in Littleton, which is the southern half of the city. But our main operation and main hub is in Golden on the west side of the city.
So 3 locations. That's right.
Yes.
So that's pretty impressive growth. So now we've got 3 locations. What does the team look like today? So you've got the plumbing, you've got the HVAC. Um, what's the future hold for High Five?
Yeah, so naturally, right? So we added HVAC in April, and with our natural growth we had with HVAC, we were starting to overwhelm the electrical people that we used. Um, so we hired an in-house electrician to kind of just handle our own work. And then the days that he was slow, we decided that we would go ahead and just take any calls that we would get that were pertaining to electrical. And then that division started to grow. And so then, as of last month, we rolled out our electrical division. We now have 4 people in that division, and once again, we're leaning on our club members again. We've been doing nothing but electrical inspections, and to be truthful, electrical has been the most underserved trade I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of our members that we've had a conversation with is ecstatic to know that they're now going to get a High Five standard for electrical. So if you run an electrical company, there's a lot of opportunity out there for you because we rolled that out, and that division's outpacing growth probably by HVAC month over month at this point.
Well, and again, what's crazy is yet again, you've now launched another division using club members, and it's already got your business to where you needed 4 people in that new division that just launched. I think it's all so amazing. And really what I hope is for anybody listening, they're listening to this going, okay, so I can do this. And it sure is easier to sell to customers that already know, like, and trust you. And not just
Yeah.
that, but raving fans.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's definitely made it to where they come in and they see that these are club members, right? It's not that people aren't buying maintenance programs from us, right? It's not a maintenance agreement. You're joining a club. And one thing that's cool about a club is if you're part of my club, I can call you as much as I want. And so, like, they've kind of accepted that, like, realize that we're going to call them monthly. We're going to be sending emails all the time. They're going to get text messages, and they want to be in the club, right? And so that's what we've realized when you can get that type of a loyal customer. We've found that to roll out the other trades, you can definitely get through some of those growing pains with building your marketing a little bit.
So here's what's interesting is when Levi and I were talking about doing this episode, we were talking a lot about leaning into culture. we haven't even really gotten too much into the culture side of it. I mean, I guess that we did a little bit, um, but so for the sake of time, I want to be, careful about not taking up too much of your time. But I do want to have you back on because there's so much more stuff that we could cover and we need to cover.
Right.
They need to know the story. They need to know the secret sauce behind
Right.
all this. Which I want to say this as somebody who's known Levi and Cassie for a lot of years and have worked with you guys. Here's a big thing that they do that I think is not looked at as high as it should be. You guys are implementers. So when you guys learn something, and I have watched this happen firsthand, when you guys learn something, it's not a put it on the shelf someday maybe, or use the excuse if I got busy. You guys get busy getting to work and implementing, and I think that is such a big part of your success that you've had over the years.
Yeah, no, I would say, it's one of them things where I've always been pretty confident that regardless of the decision I make, I'll be able to get out of it, right? Figure out a solution. So when you have that type of confidence in your decision, you tend to make decisions fairly quickly, right? And that's one thing High Five has always been. Like I said, if we see something that we believe is going to be a benefit and only make the business better, we have a culture of change. So it doesn't take me months to roll it out to the team. It takes me a couple weeks to be able to sit them down and say, hey guys, we like this. We think it's going to be better for us. This is why. And it's just normal because we've never stayed the same. Right. And what I mean by that is, everybody kind of says, oh man, aren't you scared of people stealing your stuff? No, I'm not, because most likely we're going to be doing it drastically differently in 6 months anyways. And so if it just helped them get to a different stage, then great, right? But last year we had about 90 companies come and tour High Five. And this year we've had roughly about the same already. And so, like I said, we just want people to be able to get some nuggets to be able to help them potentially get to the level they're hoping, right?
That's fantastic. Levi, thank you so much for coming and hanging out. Any closing thoughts you got?
I mean, no, like the biggest thing I would say is, don't be scared to ask for help, right? Like that's where egos get in the way a lot of the time, and it prevents growth, and it prevents for you to kind of get to where you want to. But man, in 2016, when I finally reached out for help and started to say, what do I need to do differently to get to where I want to get in my life, things started to come together. But like you said, everybody can give you help, and you can hire all the coaches and spend all the money, but if you don't actually implement what they teach you or have faith that what they're teaching you is going to work, and you think your way is better, then you're going to always kind of be in that area where you're going to struggle a little bit, right? So ask for help. And then when you do ask for help, come with an open mind, and don't think that your way is better, because there's a reason you're asking for the help.
Oh, that was a good one. That was a good mic drop. Man, that's an awesome way to close it out. Levi, thank you for so much for coming and hanging out. And gosh, if you need to get in touch with Levi, check out what's a good way for them to contact you?
Yeah, I mean, social media is the best. You can hit up all of our company, our High Five social medias, and they will all get the message to me if it hits our social media. Or you could email me. It's simply Levi@high5plumbing.com. It's HIGH, the number 5 plumbing.com. And like I said, we do tours. We talk to people. We really just want to try to help make the industry better. And we believe that we do have a kind of a unique way of doing it.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it so much, Levi.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin.
So it was a really good conversation with Levi. And Levi is just, over the years, he's been so much fun to watch him and Cassie grow that business. And honestly, it's the secret sauce with them is that they implement. Like they go and they learn something and they actually implement it, which is pretty incredible. Just great people, and you love to see great people win and grow and succeed. And today it was really cool to kind of go down the journey of success that they've had from, small town family business, and then getting into this service business of plumbing, and now also HVAC and electrical. Man, the sky is going to be the limit for them for sure. One of the other big things that he highlighted was the importance of vision and mission. And it's such a critical part of it. I think sometimes business owners get a little bit, kind of weirded out or taken back by, vision and mission. Cause it is, kind of feels a little, little touchy feely, and it is, But the truth is you don't know where you're going unless you have a vision, right? And so having that vision and then sharing it with your team so they know where you're rowing or where to row, it just makes this huge impact. And honestly, if you're rowing in a direction and your team member's like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to go that direction. That's fine. You stop, you let them off the bus, and you keep moving. You don't let them dictate it. But it's just a really good way to, let your team know where the business is going. The other thing I wrote a note too on was the vision board. I am a huge fan and believer in vision board. I have one. I'm actually looking at it right here in the studio. I've had one for years and years, and it is pretty incredible what happens when you put things on your vision board that are important to you, how they just kind of will transpire. And like Levi said, the world and the universe will kind of direct your path that way if you really and truly want it and you want it on your vision board. So listen, I hope all these highlights resonated with you, and I hope you make sure to subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and share with a fellow leader who could benefit from mastering clear vision and mission. Until next time, keep those clear visions and mission and watch your business and leadership transform. This is Justin Deese signing off from the Freedom Blueprint podcast. Stay motivated, stay visionary, and as always, keep crushing it.
You've been listening to the Freedom Blueprint podcast. Information is useless if not applied. So take what you've learned and go and implement it. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on social media at Freedom Blueprint for Home Services and hit the website at www.freedomblueprintpodcast.com. See you next time.